All right, guys. Hello and welcome to another live stream by my um, channel, Fermove. These days I have a lot of shows and they might all be getting a little bit confusing for you guys. I want to go through some of the uh, comments that are already on the stream. I see John Brower. Welcome, man. Caliber Wings again, Catfish. Arthur Larson, thank you very much for showing up. I'm sorry that we started a little bit late, but it's been a bit of an eventful day, an eventful evening for me. So running, trying to get things in order, but here we are. If you could let me know if you can see me or hear me well, I would really appreciate that. So anybody in the comment section, let me know if you hear me well. I will wait to see if anything shows up in the comment section. Been to China, greetings. Hi, hello. Let me post this. Can someone let me know how the sound is? Sounds perfect. Okay, awesome. Thank you so very much. All right, guys. So today, I want to start this show talking about well, the meeting that took place in Alaska, in Anchorage, and also, well, what took place last week, or what has been taking place for quite some time now, related to the attacks on Asian population in the Western America, for example. So, I would like to start first with the attacks on Asian people. There are a couple of things that I would like to show you guys, to share with you, and talk about how the media has responsibility for some of the attacks that we are seeing, some of the things that we see taking place. Before we go there, I am trying to do something technologically new. I've tested it, but the only way that I can make it work is if I can take your calls on my phone. So let me share with you, if anybody wants to talk to me during the show, you guys can call this number right here, here on this mobile phone, and hopefully I can get you patched in and we can have a talk. But if it doesn't work, then do let me know if anybody wants to give it a go. But give me a couple of minutes before I get some of my content out there. So talking about anti-Asian sentiment out there, and how the government, the media, sorry, has something to do with this. All I've done is collected a few pictures from Twitter. These are actually articles or front page pictures of some of these publications, and we will see what I'm talking about. So let's start with this one first. So the Chinese threat to American speech. This happened actually when they decided to hinder or slow down WeChat in America, right? So at some point, basically, they're saying that they're not going to impose a full ban on WeChat, but it's something that is being taking place. This one, for example, from the New York Times, it's no dystopian fiction. This is China, talking about China's surveillance and how it is supposed to be a bad thing. This has a lot to do with Xinjiang, and we're going to go to Xinjiang, me and Caliber Wings, who's watching, and we're going to document what we see. I don't expect it to be anything out of what is called for. Let me explain. It's a situation where there's a lot of danger, there's a lot of terrorist attacks, so you would expect to see a lot more security around there. There's tons of cameras everywhere here in China. I expect to see more over there. Now, when you have a situation where you see so many cameras, the first thing that you can think of is, well, they're just watching me. They're just using AI and they're trying to identify who I am and try to know what I'm doing. And in a way, It is. That's what they're trying to do, but it's for the well-being of good people. Now, can that be misused? Yes. Is there a risk? Of course. If the people who are in charge of this are evil, then it becomes a tool that can be really, really bad and affect a lot of people. You could ask Angela Merkel about this. Um, if there are evil intentions, then there's a problem. Um, let's talk about this one over here. How China gets American companies to parrot its propaganda. When China goes out and buys American companies, well, they become a corporation that dictates according to ideologies and the mentality and the culture of the Chinese owners. Um, if you don't want that, don't sell the company. It's that simple. And that's one of the things that I always try to tell people when it comes to China. They make it look like it's China is putting a gun to people's heads to do what China wants them to do. China doesn't do that. China comes with a bucket load of money and say like, you want this? And then the corporations say, yeah, thank you. And that's it. That's the way it takes place. So is the greed of those corporations, is the the profits and the desire to just get the money from the Chinese that takes these companies out of American hands. If you don't want that to happen, then don't sell it or increase the price. So I don't know. But what I'm saying is that there is a remedy, and the remedy is in American corporations in their hands. So to blame China for that is a little bit silly, in my opinion. Let's go to another one here. Um, China's dangerous Taiwan temptation. This is the okay. First of all, let's go into the graphics. Right, you have that tiny bald eagle, yeah, and a gigantic dragon, kind of like coming and surrounded it and attacking the eagle. Um, so let's talk about Taiwan. I made the video talking about Taiwan and saying, first of all, Taiwan is not the name of this province. Is something that was created to create a differentiation between China and Taiwan, basically. Um, so the way that I see it is, unless they do something, America does something to create a scenario where they will become an independent part of China, then China will step in. That's just my opinion. I'm not reading this from anybody. That's what I think. Otherwise, all I think is China is going to sit and wait and see what is going to take place in Taiwan. In other ways, it has to do with what we've seen in Anchorage. It's a waiting game, waiting to see America decline further and further, so that China becomes a better proposition, a better partner for Taiwan, and the reunification will take place without a single bullet being shot, without any casualties. And that's a very important part. China doesn't want to go the aggressive path, because they consider and feel that, well, China and Taiwan are family. They don't want to go that path, only if it's absolutely necessary, and that becomes something that is triggered by the United States. So this picture right here, as in the Taiwan temptation, whose temptation? Maybe America's temptation to go to war and be able to reignite its economy. Um, let's go to this one here from another financial publication. Xi Jinping, the leader of the world. We've talked about this with Steve in our show, the China Times. China doesn't really want to be the leader of the world the same way that America sees it. It's not an imperialistic desire. They want to be a very important player in in the world's economy, in the world's spheres of influence. They just want to be taken into consideration and be treated as equal. Again, a little bit of a reference to Anchorage and the meeting in Alaska. Let's take a look at some other things from this financial publication. Can American values survive in Chinese world? That's a very interesting proposition right there. Um, what are American values? When people think about American values and you re-examine what those were, I've talked about how I grew up being an American kid. I was thinking about this topic today, and the best way that I could describe it was I describe myself as a Disney kid. I grew up enamored, completely in love and infatuated with America. It was something that it was a dream, right? It was the best, the model, what I would want to be, what I would expect to experience. And I got the opportunity to do that, to go there, to live, to work, to experience it. And as I experienced it, my dream began to shatter, began to like, this is not exactly what I thought it would be. This is not exactly what I I had painted my whole life growing up before coming here to work. Um, so I entered an interesting phase, and now this is a personal part of the story. I entered a personal phase where I thought I don't want to follow the news. Basically, if it doesn't affect me, I don't care. I don't. It doesn't matter. And I lived my life in a very very small sphere of influence. So war here, war there means not war in the country where I am or in the place where I am. So I don't need to follow that. I don't need to listen to that. So I spent about a decade or more, probably a decade and a half, actually very disconnected from the world, from what was taking place in the world, basically in the late 90s and a big chunk of the 2000s. And that left a void in information. When I tapped back into, well, watching the news and reading the news, kind of like when you start getting old, you start following the news again, all I would get was news from the West. And I started to get this rhetoric, right? This narrative about all the things that took place. But something really didn't add up. And for me, that started with the war on terror after 9/11. Something just didn't add up. And the more I began to see other alternative media, I started to realize that, man, we've been told so many lies. And I want to show you a very short video right now. I took this from Twitter. I don't know who it is. I don't know if this is going to get me in trouble, but watch this for a second.
Those weapons of mass destruction got to be somewhere. Nope, no weapons over there. Maybe under here.
So to hear something like this, sorry, okay, we're getting a phone call. Let me see if I can patch it through. This is the first attempt. Hold on one second. This has got to go through. All right. So, hello. I don't know if I can hear you. Oh, let me see. I'm trying something new here, guys. So excuse me one second. Hello. Who is this? Hi. Welcome to the show. How are you? Mr. Callaway Wings. Okay, I want to go into the comment section and ask people if they can actually hear Caliber Wings. Can you hear him? Okay, because this is all going through through the sound mixer. Okay, but okay. Well, people are saying that they can't hear you. I need to work this out. Caliber, thanks so much, man. I'm gonna get back to the stream and probably test it some other time. All right, man. Thank you. Ciao. All right, guys. So no, that's a no-no in terms of listening to the phone call. I'll work it out and I'll make it happen. It's very cool. The idea would be that you guys can call this phone number or even a WeChat call or a WhatsApp call, and we can have conversations from anywhere in the world about the things that we are talking about. So yeah, let's get back to what I was talking about for a second. That video right there is one of the things that, do you know what I mean? To be laughing at the fact that they lied to the world, they lied to the coalition, they lied to people and killed millions of people out of lies, and they actually think that this is funny. They actually think that it's something worth making jokes about. And I posted something on Twitter earlier today, is that the attacks on China don't stop. They're never ending. They're incredibly, it's a variety of them. Let me show you some of the things that someone posted on Twitter. These are the 14 different things that have been done. Let me stop this banner so that we can see it better. Yeah. So these are the 14 cards that have been used against China. The trade war started with Trump. Tech war, again, stopping Huawei, stopping different telecommunication companies from doing business. Financial war, public opinion war. This is where a lot of YouTubers come into place. A lot of people who attack China. I mean, if you don't know China, if you've never been to China, if you don't understand China, I understand your ignorance. I can talk to you about your ignorance and explain to you how things really are. But when you have lived in China, when you know how things are, and you decide to put information out there that you know is not true, that's on you. You have blood in your hands. You have responsibility for what's to come if all you're doing is peddling misinformation and lies about China. That's on you. And it's incredible that these channels profit so much from this misinformation. It's so easy to debunk some of the things that they say. So let's continue. The judicial war, the Taiwan situation, the Hong Kong situation. Look, the Hong Kong situation, America had its hands all over it. That was so clear to anybody in the mainland, anybody in Guangdong with any kind of contact to Hong Kong. You knew that this was being pushed from abroad. And we also, the different contacts and the different trips that some of these leaders took to the United States and who they met, Marco Rubio and Nancy Pelosi. I mean, the connection was so obvious. That was peddled from the United States. Again, Xinjiang. Let's talk about Xinjiang the way that I see it right now. Some of the expectations that I have about the trip. Let me print this down so I can. We're going to come back to this list in a second. I was talking to Jerry Gray, who basically has cycled around Xinjiang several times. And I was telling him, look, I'm a little worried about what's it going to be like. What's it going to be like when I go to Xinjiang? And he says, that's exactly what the mainstream media wants. They want people to worry. They have planted that image in my head that I can't. I'm always thinking like, can I shoot? Can I make a video? Can I talk to people? And he's telling me, you can. All this idea that you cannot do these things freely in Xinjiang, it's all in your head because it has been planted in your head. I also talked to other YouTubers and they said like, oh, be careful. When I talk to the person, these YouTubers haven't been to Xinjiang either. So we're all feeding from this, right? And Jerry says, like, there's nothing like that. I've gotten pictures with the police. I've taken picture with local Uyghur people, with Han people. It's and then he pointed out extremely bit of information. He says, like, there are over 100 million tourists to Xinjiang each year. Now, if there are 100 million tourists in Xinjiang, how many cameras, how many tourists, how many people just snapping pictures or making TikTok videos or YouTube videos, who knows, right? Aren't there? There must be tons. There must be hundreds. It must be a normal thing. Now, he did mention that what is going to be surprising and that what we need to factor in is the waiting time. There's a lot of security. Say if you exit the train station, you go through security as if you were going into the train station. If you go into a mall, you go through security as if you were going through security at the airport. So there's a lot of time that needs to be dedicated and allotted to whatever it is that we plan to do. We're going to go into details privately, me and Caliber Wings. So something that theoretically could take 5 minutes becomes a 30-minute or a 40-minute thing because there's a line. And here's the thing: the people from the region, they have their IDs, right? And they just beep, because all the biometrics and all the information has been taken. So they have a card, beep, and they go in. So their line moves really fast. But when you're a foreigner, manual. You have to stand in line. Okay, this is what I've been told by Jerry, and I expect to show you this so that there's not just talk. I can actually show you how it takes place, if I can. I've said in a couple of chats that I have two plans. I'm going to try to be as stealthy as possible, so like a very small camera and just like a big camera to take some beautiful pictures. And I expect to capture some of these things. I don't know if that's going to get me in trouble or not, but I do want to show those parts that are not necessarily a positive thing, but when you take into consideration the security issue, then they become a very important part. So that's the thing. Those are some of the things that are my concern. So Jerry put my mind at ease. Sorry, he just said, "Look, man, just a lot more time to go from one place to another, and that's about it. That's all you need. You don't need to worry about them not letting you shoot or not letting you make a video or a vlog or anything like that. It's very normal over there." So I have these two plans basically. One, to be as stealthy and try not to incommodate people or make people uncomfortable, and the other one will be to be more open and try to talk to people and get them to talk to me on camera. So let's see how that takes place. So this thing about the surveillance of the of China, it's a little bit far-fetched. What else do we have here? Now, I want to draw your attention to a couple of images. Yeah, for example, from Axios, this claw, this dragon holding the world and controlling it, and the image in itself is so, it instills fear, right? It instills fear in, well, China and Chinese people. This one is fantastic from The Economy. From The Economist. As I said earlier, if you don't want corporations to be owned by Chinese, don't sell them. Don't take the money. Difficult to do in a capitalist country like America, where profits, they will sell anything for profits. They sold American jobs and the middle class to China for profits, and still China gets blamed for it. China played the cards that they had. All right, here we go a little bit more into The Economist painting as this whole, they don't say it, right? They don't say the China virus, but they're presenting it. This is what you read. This is what instills in people's minds to hate China, to blame China for everything and anything. Move on to this one. Facing up to China, what do you have there? A gigantic dragon with smoke coming out of its nostrils. Isn't that intimidating? Shouldn't you be afraid? Again, it's how journalism is portraying China. Now, I want to go back to the list 1 second and continue talking about Tibet. Now, Tibet is, all these things are taking place at the same time. So they kind of like, they take turns. First, Taiwan. Oh, the situation with Taiwan. China's going to invade Taiwan. Hong Kong. There's no democracy in Hong Kong when they had the third place in terms of freedom index in the world, and America was at 17. What are you talking about? Then Xinjiang and everything we don't know about Xinjiang. Now, Tibet. I mean, I have this one over here. I can't really see it, but I had a very interesting tweet, a very interesting picture. I think it's one of the first ones that I uploaded. Give me 1 second. I think it's this one. No, sorry, it's not this one. I apologize. Can't find it right here. Sorry about that. Basically, the Dalai Lama actually says that Tibet is part of China. And that's one thing that I couldn't put in here. Can't find the picture right now. But, I mean, what are you talking about, Tibet? Next one, the East China Sea. We need to take China out of the East China Sea. And what? Turn it into the, the West American Sea? What? I mean, when you see this picture right here, what do you think? These are all bases, military bases, from America in the Pacific. Just look how they surround China. And this is connected to Anchorage, to the discussions like, how is China the aggressor? How many bases are there in Canada? How many Chinese military bases are there in Mexico? How many Chinese bases are there in the Caribbean? Who's attacking who? Who's really attacking who? That's an interesting thing. And when somebody goes and posts something like this on Twitter, Xi Jinping tells People's Liberation Army to get ready for combat. Isn't that what armies are supposed to do? They should be always ready for combat, shouldn't they? It's like complaining that the fire department is doing drills to be ready for a fire. It makes a lot of sense. When West and the Five Eyes countries are sending troops and ships and more military bases around China, it's like the fire department not getting ready on a dry summer. There's bound to be something. The chances for something to happen are increased in the dry summer, so the fire department should be ready. Does it make sense to tell the army, oi, these things are taking place? Now they want to sell more weapons to Japan. Now they want to sell more weapons to South Korea. Now they want sell more weapons to, I just reading on Twitter, to India. India, a country that is so poor, that could do so much more good for their citizens with their money. Now they want to sell them more weapons to defend against China. I mean, do you know what I'm saying? It's really complicated to see a way out of this, and this is why Anchorage is so important. Next thing, the Indo-Pacific Strategy. Again, the Belt and Road, Xinjiang, and all the partnership. We talked about that during the Womao show, talking about the debt trap and the falseness of the debt trap, and all this intention to cooperate with the rest of the world in a win-to-win, in a win-win scenario. And 14, disarmament. Now, China is investing so much more money in weapons. Well, when you're surrounded by American military, wouldn't it make sense? Doesn't it make sense? I mean, ask yourself if that's not the responsible thing to do. When the Five Eye countries are station ships around them, this is the thing to do. Guys, I want to show you one more thing over here, and this is a tweet talking about the sanctions, and I'm going to try to pivot into Anchorage right now. This person is actually offended, or not offended, but upset at the fact that the West is sanctioning CCP officials before the meeting of Anchorage. He thinks that more efforts should be going towards inflicting as much pain as possible on ordinary Chinese people. Reminds you of Live Y86, right? That video that circulated, Daniel Dumbrell saying like, the only way we can change is we make the Chinese people suffer. We should be trying to make them poor, desperate, hungry, and unemployed. Then they will start to see change. If that doesn't incite hate against Asians, and the other issue is that most Americans are unable to differentiate a Chinese person from a Korean, from a Vietnamese, from a Thai. They can't. So this hate against China is blanketing a huge population. And you got people tweeting things like that, and they don't get banned, they don't get sanctioned, they don't, sorry, not sanctioned, but they don't get blocked or nothing. Go ahead, post your hate. All right, let me go into the comment sections. I'll try to see some of the comments. I need to go back. So let's go back. Such a sadistic point of view. Okay. Oh, this is an interesting question. How about Chinese military base in Cuba? That would be fun. But again, I have to say, China's leadership in the world, from my perspective, okay, I don't know anything. Oops, sorry, I don't know anything. I'm just a teacher, just a YouTuber. But the idea that I get is that China has no intention to become a leader of the world a la American. They don't want to go out there and start oppressing people, bombing countries, and imposing their idiocracy, their politics, their style of government into other countries. They have shown no interest in doing this at all. At all. As opposed to, and this is part of what's discussed in Anchorage, the diplomats just actually pointing fingers at them. Again, I don't know how polite that is and how diplomatic that is, but like, you're the ones exporting your democracy to other countries. You're the one turning countries into parking lots, drone attack after drone attack. You're the one creating enemies and creating generations of people who are going to hate your guts for what you're doing. That's what took place in Anchorage, and that was a very, very interesting part. So a Chinese military base in Cuba, I don't think that would be the smartest thing. Look, China is a country of very smart people. All they're going to do is they're going to let America deal with its problems, and they're not very good at dealing with their problems because of the system that they have. Let me explain. Biden wants to do things better with China, and then the Republicans, they start attacking Biden. And then there's a Republican in power, and then the Democrats are going to start attacking the Republican, and forbidding him from doing anything. I want to show you a very, very, John, I'm going to remove this. I want to show you something that absolutely blew my mind. This is the amount of infrastructure in high-speed railways developed in the world. So I want you to take, I cut this video a little bit short because it starts like in the 1980s, and China wasn't even on the map until 2003. But not only take a look at 2003, but take a look at 2008. Have a look. it leaves you speechless. In a span of 17, well, that was 2019, so 15 years, they were from nowhere to being so far ahead of the rest of the world. Okay, a lot of people are going to say, but hey, a country like Germany doesn't need that many kilometers of railways, and that's a fair point. But I'm not trying to compare country to country. I'm trying to compare intention, the motivation, the vision, the determination to take the country into the future. When you see this, how much do you think it costs to run all these military bases? How much do you think it costs? What could be done in America to better the life of American people with all that money? You tell me. Do you think more schools could be built? Do you think teachers could be paid better salaries? Do you think doctors could be paid better? Do you think you could have insurance and global healthcare or universal healthcare in America if you didn't have all these expenses? Do you think that would be a possibility? So again, China doesn't want to do what America did. America built all this power to keep other countries oppressed and to get what they wanted out of these other regions. China wants things from these other regions, but wants them slowly, like, hey, what can I give you? How can we benefit from this situation together? Let's sit down. What do you need? Oh, we need harbors. Oh, we need railways. We're great at building railways. Let me show you. So it's a very different idea of leadership in the world. Let me get back to some comments over here. Okay, let's see some of the newer ones. Okay, Donna Dunn said Twitter is completely biased towards China. Anybody criticizing US policy banned immediately, but anybody criticizing China is being encouraged. This is called freedom of speech in the West. Let me show you this that hasn't circulated too much. Very interesting, Donna, very true. This is something that hasn't circulated much in the West, but it's making the rounds in Chinese social media. This took place in Anchorage, right? When the Chinese diplomats started talking to America, like, you can't just lie and accuse us of things that you can't prove. You just make up all these stories and say that we're doing this and we're done. You're the guys who have evidence. There's plenty of evidence of you doing these things. So the Chinese diplomats are starting kind of like going through a list of things. This is what you've done. This is what you've done. This is what you've done. And then the Americans asked the news reporters to step out. Have a look.
Thank you, press. Thank you. No, thank you, press. Thank you. Thank you, press. Thank you. 历史会证明，对中国采取卡脖式的办法来打压的办法，最后受损失的是自己。
Guys, over here in China, if you're watching from the United States or from other countries, this meeting has been like historic, honestly, to the point where people are saying, like, it's the first time that a diplomat is actually talking to, well, American diplomats and saying, like, no, that's not the way it is. That's not how it's going to be, and this is not how we're going to talk. And a lot of people have analyzed a lot of pictures. They talk about body language and Blinken kind of like crouching a little bit and like uncomfortable, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to respond to the assertions made by the diplomats from China. That was an interesting, very interesting point. So some people were saying, well, they should have had somebody like Pompeo over there. What would this meeting have been with Pompeo over there? A fist fight. I mean, because the lies that were thrown at the table, they couldn't come back from that. I mean, the Americans really didn't fare too well during this meeting. Some of the accusations of the American side is that they took more time than we had agreed on. Okay, that's it. That's all it was. And it was interesting because a lot of people were saying, these are very tense negotiations. And well, they're tense because there are consequences to the lies that are being told. And this is one of the consequences. Going back to Asian hate, 45% of Americans now say that China is the United States' greatest enemy. And I go back to a question that I asked in one of the shows that I was holding with the Wu Mao show is, when did it become okay to hate China? When did it become okay to go from we hate the CCP to now we hate the people? Because that's the excuse of all those YouTube channels and a lot of pundits and a lot of people. No, we hate the CCP, or the CPC as it should be, right? Not the Chinese people. But you guys out there killing Chinese people or Asian people out of mistakes. So that line, not that clear. Remember that tweet that I showed you right here? This guy just simply advocating that just hurt Chinese people. That's what we should do. That's what America should do. Don't bother with sanctions that don't do anything. Just make Chinese people suffer. That's the mentality. That's the message. That's what's sipping through the media, and what is falling in the heads of a lot of people, like this deranged person in Atlanta this week. It's all extremely disheartening. And then you have YouTubers that say, I'm not going to talk about this particular YouTuber, but Daniel Dunbar posted something that this YouTuber said, like, I don't see Chinese hate, Asian hate. Let me show you this clip right here. This is a list of attacks that have taken place in the United States. Pay attention to how many there are in the last couple of years and how few there were just 3 or 4 years ago. I tried to play this during the Wu Mao show, but it didn't play. Let's see if this time it loaded up okay. Amazing, no? Well, amazing, no, in the sense of wow, but in the mental, oh my God, is it not obvious what is taking place? Is it not obvious that most people in America don't really understand China? They don't really care much about China. They only started to care when the media started telling them to care. When the media started telling them, hey, perhaps it's a good idea to hate China. Yeah. So public opinion of China plunges to a historic low. How else do you think American people are going to react when all they get fed on TV, newspapers, and YouTube is how horrible China is? How do you expect them to react? And one of the things that's interesting is how somebody has actually made a parallel between the way China is being portrayed now by this mainstream media and how it was the Jews were portrayed back in the 1930s, 1940s. These idea of attacking and having to be afraid of the enemy, right? You see that parallel right there, and that's extremely powerful. That is very powerful. Think about, well, who's in charge of media today? Probably the children of people who were in charge of media in 1940s, 1930s, grandchildren. Those are the people in control. So just revisiting the book, revisiting the plot, it's all very, very concerning. Guys, I want to open the floor to a couple of questions. So let me know if there's anything that you would like to ask me. I'm going to go into the comment section. Let's spend a couple of minutes talking. Let me see. Okay. This is interesting. Okay, thanks. The one who ordered the press to leave is afraid of the truth. It's very, very true. Okay, let's see. Any other questions? Okay, I see a new comment. If I have a second, go and set your mic as the correct mic. I'm not sure I understand. Hi. Okay, I think I'm pushing a little bit more the mic. Okay. This is funny. Man, you're a legend. I'm American. I don't hate the American people, just our government. Okay. Please like and share. Thank you. That's super, super, super nice of you, man. Please like and share. This is King Kai. Kinky? I'll call you King Kai. Kinky sounds funny. All right. Okay. Yes, China has done well fighting corruption with President Xi. This is very true. I mean, corruption was a real thing. I mean, I've talked to people about this when I used to do work with the government, as in I was just a consultant, right? Like a language consultant. And after every lunch, which was paid for, okay, Caliber, I don't understand what you mean, but set the right mic. Okay, I'm trying to figure some things here, Caliber, but I don't know why this is coming a little bit strange. That's too much. All right. Okay. I was talking about, yes, when I was doing this work with the government, basically after every lunch, my superior would say like, hey, let's go across the street and get a foot massage to have a nap. And I'm like, all right. And that was always paid by the office. And I'm like, that's nothing compared to the corruption that we're talking about. But even at this level, I'm like, this shouldn't be so, right? I enjoyed it, but this shouldn't be so. So this kind of little things, even these little things, had to stop. I mean, nowadays, for example, if I go to have coffee with somebody, sorry, somebody's calling from Chongqing, and see if I can try again. Let me send you to the broadcaster and Bluetooth. Do you guys hear? I can't really hear. Sorry, man, I can't really hear you, so I'm gonna have to test this in private, okay? Sorry about that. Talk to you later, okay? Whoever's calling here, I'll call you later. All right. So corruption did stop, and you see it a lot. For example, in the judicial system, people actually being sentenced to death because they have cheated customers, they have hurt the population. So I think that this is one of the reasons why people appreciate what he's doing. He's correcting the evil side, the bad side of this particular form of government, which is one party. Again, people always say there's different parties here in China, and that's true, but they're so small compared to the CPC that, yeah, a lot of people just fall for the fact that fall for the tale that it's just a one party. But the risks of having one party are real. And Xi Jinping came and said, like, we can't have this. We need to get rid of this. So this is one of the reasons why people actually respect what he does here. All right, guys. My wife, Bunny. This is, okay, Western media reports Xi bans golf. This is coming from somewhere else? I mean, anything that China does is automatically hated and portrayed as something negative. We went through that on the Wu Mao show, guys. I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching this stream. I apologize if my technical attempt did not work. I'll keep on trying, and it will be awesome, guys. If we get it to work, it's going to be awesome. So wherever you are in the world, you can call us via WhatsApp, WeChat, or if you're here in China, you can call my phone number and we can talk about stuff. Don't do it now because I haven't figured it out. I don't know why I can't hear you, but that's going to be an awesome thing. It's just a technical challenge. I'll figure it out. Well, guys, that's all the time we have today. Thank you so much. Remember that if you want to support my channel, you can do that by, hitting the link in the description down below in my channel, and you can buy me a cup of coffee. Thank you so very much, John Brower, Arthur Larson. Thank you so very much, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday for another Wu Mao show. We are going to be talking about religion, and we're trying to get interesting stories, interesting sides of religion. I actually already talked about bringing a person who's had actually a negative experience with religion here in China. So that ought to be a very interesting show. So I try to present the different sides. China's not perfect. China's not perfect, but it's doing really, really well, and it's trying to fix the things that are not working. So there you go, guys. That's the message for today. Thank you so much. I apologize. Didn't have the best of days today. My mind was somewhere else, so sorry for that. But I'll see you guys on Wednesday for a Wu Mao show. Take care. Bye for now.